Today, we're going to talk about a question that comes up often and one that many of you have asked. Among your messages, one topic came up repeatedly. Does a Muslim woman have the right to refuse her husband? It's a direct question, but one that raises profound issues, both religious and moral, and even spiritual. Behind this simple question sometimes lie doubts, guilt, or even misunderstandings between spouses. That's precisely why we're going to take the time to answer this question seriously, with clear sources and a balanced view of what Islam says. If this kind of topic interests you, consider subscribing so you don't miss anything. Let's put it simply. Does a Muslim woman have the right to say no to her husband when he asks for intimacy? Is it permissible, or is it a sin? What does our religion say exactly? These are questions that many people ask themselves, sometimes silently. Some women feel guilty. Others feel misunderstood. Some men don't know how to react. And often, these questions remain unanswered. Today, we're going to explore together what the Quran, the Sunnah, the Fiqh, and the moral wisdom of Islam have to say. Let's start with the fundamental texts. The Prophet, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, said in a hadith reported by Al-Bukhari and Muslim, "If a man calls his wife to his bed and she refuses, and he spends the night angry with her, the angels will curse her until morning." This hadith is well known, but it is often misunderstood. Let us examine it closely. First, it is not an automatic condemnation. The hadith refers to refusal without a valid reason, that is, deliberate, repeated rejection without religious or moral justification. The term curse here means the withdrawal of mercy, but not eternal condemnation. It is a strong way of warning about the impact of this refusal on the couple. Why this insistence in the Sunnah? Because intimacy is part of mutual marital rights in Islam. It is not a simple desire, it is a religious responsibility. But be careful, this responsibility does not mean blind submission or coercion. There are rules, limits, and above all, respect. The Quran reminds us in Surah 30, verse 21, "And among his signs is that he created for you from yourselves mates that you may find tranquility, sakina, in them. And he placed between you affection, mawadda, and mercy, rahmah." This verse is fundamental. It shows us that the bond between spouses is not based on domination, but on peace, love, and mercy. In Islamic jurisprudence, scholars are clear on this subject. Yes, fulfilling the intimate needs of one's spouse is a marital duty. It is part of the obligations of marriage. But beware, like any obligation, it depends on the actual capacity of the person. Islam does not force anyone to undergo something that he or she cannot handle. The legal statutes are as follows. If the woman refuses without a valid reason, out of caprice, revenge, or total disinterest, this may be discouraged or even prohibited, depending on the school of thought. If she has a valid excuse, fatigue, pain, illness, menstruation, or psychological exhaustion, then she is not at fault, and her refusal is permitted or even necessary for her own protection. Scholars such as Ibn Qudamah, An-Nawawi, and the four schools, Hanafi, Maliki, Shafi'i, Hanbali, are unanimous on this point. A woman should not be forced into intimacy when she is unable to do so or when it would cause her suffering. And this goes both ways. A man also does not have the right to repeatedly and unjustifiably refuse intimacy with his wife. Marriage in Islam is based on a balance of rights and duties. Beyond the texts, let us pause for a moment to consider the moral and spiritual meaning of this rule. Why does Islam insist on intimacy in a couple? Because it is a means of preserving chastity, strengthening love, calming tensions, and avoiding frustrations that sometimes lead to haram. But the goal is not to impose the relationship. The goal is to encourage mutual awareness and kindness. When one of the two feels rejected or ignored, he or she may slip into doubt, anger, or estrangement. Hence the importance of dialogue, of talking to each other, of understanding what is blocking the relationship. You can ask yourself these questions. Do I take the time to talk to my spouse? Do I listen and show patience? Do I retreat into silence or resentment? And above all, do I view my marriage as a simple contract or as a spiritual alliance? So, what should we take away from this? First, a Muslim woman should not refuse her husband without a valid reason, as this breaks a marital duty. Second, if she has a real excuse, physical, emotional, medical, she is in no way at fault. Third, intimacy in Islam is never a brutal obligation, but an act of rahmah, an expression of sincere love. Fourth, marriage is a refuge, not a battlefield. And finally, let us always remember that Islam is a path of balance, mercy, and mutual respect. No rule is there to oppress, but to protect. Tell us what you think in the comments. Did this answer help you? Would you like us to address other issues related to couples, family, or Islamic law? Subscribe if you want to continue this series of educational and caring videos, and share them with others so that the light of knowledge can benefit everyone.